Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Magic Towers Resort. So Halloween is sadly over, so that means that we should probably clean up the mess that we left in 2 episodes ago actually. It's been a little while since I posted an episode. Once again, I'm gonna have to explain that. I just moved into my new apartment, so yeah, it was a bit of a mess and I had to set things up. And additionally, that also meant that for a very short time I just had to live at a friend's place basically, just until I had my own apartment again. But yeah, all of that is done now, so yeah, hopefully I can get back into the swing of things again. And from this moment forward, things should be pretty stable again. So yeah, that's just a very short story about how things are going right now. So yeah, it might still sound a little bit different in terms of like my voice and the echo in this room, because I don't have a lot of furniture yet, still need to buy a lot of stuff, but until then, this is all you're gonna get. So yeah, Halloween, that was fun. Not really, because I mean, we're still in COVID times, so not a lot of Halloweening is happening, I suppose. But yeah, at least the Halloween stuff is out of the way. Maybe for Christmas we'll decorate the park for Christmas again, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. If you guys would like to see something like that, then we can definitely do that. I think that would be pretty interesting. So what we're gonna do in this episode is actually completely finish up the final area for this park. The first half of this recording was actually done in a live stream the other day, just because I wanted to really quickly, interact live with the folks, or at least the most loyal fans, so to speak, to kind of, chat a bit, since it had been such a while. But we basically decided that we were gonna go for an Asian area, more specifically Japanese. Now this is an idea that has been coined a lot before in the comments, so I figured, why not actually try and do that, and try to make something out of that. So yeah, if you're wondering why sometimes I might be, looking at different stuff, then, well, the reason is probably because I'm in a live stream and I might actually be showing something like I was there a second ago. Yeah, just so you know. So this area isn't going to be super large. The poll that I did about what we should place in this area did mention that we should make an area with one major ride, but it didn't end up being a super large area, just because I didn't want to extend it out too far. But we do have a pretty nice area that is, in terms of the size, comparable to the city area, I suppose. Maybe a little bit smaller, and it only has one ride, but I think that's pretty alright, because this is just to fill things up right over here, until we can actually move on again, which is super exciting, because we're going to be starting a second gate inside of this park, which will be the water park, which we'll work on in the very near future. So in this episode we basically finish up the inside of the park. So we'll build the Asian area, we'll completely finish that. Then in the next episode we have some backstage areas that we need to finish up, and maybe some final touches just around the park. And after that, the theme park itself, the Magic Towers park, will actually be finished. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. It's been a pretty long journey, but I must say that with 22 episodes of building on it, it's also nice to really quickly be able to work on something else again. Well, we're still on the same map, of course, but it will be a bit different from what we've been doing so far. And, it's just really cool to actually have a finished park, because this is actually gonna be the very first theme park that I actually finish in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, which is pretty insane. I'm someone who, can very easily jump from one project to the other, so it's quite a big achievement for me to actually stay focused on this, and doing this through YouTube definitely helped with that, because otherwise I would have long abandoned this project already. But I'm glad I have the YouTube to motivate me as well. Because it's pretty awesome to actually finish something like this up and, kind of expand the brand that is Magic Towers, with all the stuff that we have around the park now as well, and outside of the game as well, in terms of like the merchandise and things like that. It's just really fun to set all those things up. So yeah, that's just super cool. So regarding theme parks, I haven't really been to any theme parks. I was gonna go to a theme park tomorrow because they had a new nighttime spectacular and I really wanted to see that. So I took a day off just to be able to see that. But sadly, the theme parks have closed in the Netherlands again due to the health and safety measures. So yeah, sadly no new theme parks, but I did visit something else that was pretty interesting. And I'll talk more about this in a Patreon post, because that just allows me to go a bit more in depth and share my opinions about stuff a bit more freely than I will be able to on this YouTube channel. But basically it was they say it is an art maze, basically. But it's just a maze. It's like a playground for adults that's very well themed, and the whole experience just feels like you're going into the Alice in Wonderland world, like going down a rabbit hole, literally. That's just how it feels, which is pretty insane. It's super trippy, without using any legal or illegal stuff. It still feels super trippy. It's really quite amazing how they were able to achieve that, and it's a super cool experience. Basically, you just go around all these rooms, and each room has a very different theme. There are hidden hallways here and there. There are hidden doors that you can open up, and there is one exit somewhere that you have to find, and it's like across 2 or 3 floors, I think. It's really quite large. And it took us about like an hour, I think, for us to actually find the exit, which was pretty awesome. It's called Dolores Meta Maze in Tilburg, if you're in the Netherlands or close by and would like to see that someday. However, they are currently closed again, so you'll have to wait for that. But I can definitely recommend going there if you're interested in that sort of stuff. It's not a theme park, it is a themed experience though, and I always really like seeing how these experiences are, can relate to theme parks, basically. I've talked about this before, but it's just super awesome to see these techniques and effects and theming elements that we see in theme parks and that we love about theme parks can also be seen outside of theme parks as well. It's just super interesting, and I always really quite like that. Now, since we are going to be finishing up the park now very soon, there is something cool that I actually had planned. So in the next episode, what we'll be doing is we'll have a very special guest on the episode who is going to be reviewing the park from a professional standpoint, basically. If you're into the RCT community, you probably already know who I'm talking about. But we're going to be inviting Brian, who is a professional theme park designer, into the park, basically, and he'll be doing like an in-depth review of the park on his YouTube channel, which will be super awesome, and he'll probably be live streaming that as well. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll have to talk about it, but yeah, he'll be in the episode maybe next week already. I'm not quite sure yet when that is going to happen, but he will be actually on the show just to introduce himself and get him going to actually look at the park. So yeah, that's gonna be super awesome. I'm super excited for that. I'm super curious as well to kind of see what he thinks. So yeah, and hopefully that allows him to get some extra people on his channel as well, because he is a pretty cool channel where he just goes into a lot of realism stuff and also RCT2 hacking to make certain ride ideas work that aren't actually in the game. Super interesting stuff. I always love seeing his content. So yeah, you'll definitely be hearing from him in the next episode. So stay tuned for that as well. Now, let's talk a bit about the area. So it's not the most fantastical area, I suppose. Not like the others. It's just very natural area. Very much based on Japan. It will have very few amenities. There will be a toilet, there will be a small restaurant, which I will probably love to go to because I really quite like Asian food myself. And that's about it. And then of course we have the ride in the area as well, which is going to be super interesting. So let me actually explain what that is going to be, because it's super unique and it doesn't happen a lot. So in Shanghai Disneyland, there is a very unique ride that you cannot find at any other Disney park and is impossible to actually build at any other park as well. And that is Camp Discovery. Now, Camp Discovery is a ropes course, or at least 2 ropes courses actually. And what they do super duper well is it is completely themed. You are going to going through a temple, or you're going through a mountain where you have to, climb over stuff, climb under stuff. It's super awesome, super unique. And there is actually a talk, like a presentation talk on YouTube that you can find from the Themed Entertainment Association, where Disney actually talks about why and how that ride was actually designed and why it wouldn't work anywhere else in the world. So just to give you a little spoiler alert, basically, it's basically the reason why it doesn't exist anywhere else is because it's just impossible to get enough employees on that ride, because for the safety of things you need to have an employee on literally every corner. And employees are pretty cheap in China, but not around the world elsewhere. So that just means that this ride cannot be copied to any other parks, even though it's like a super cool idea and super unique as well. It does also have some other issues. For example, the capacity is definitely limited, because if one person along the way doesn't make it past an obstacle, they might, prevent other people from continuing. However, they do have every single obstacle basically 3 times, I think, or 4 times, just to make sure that people can get through it without, limiting the capacity too much. Now, if you would like to learn more about this obstacle course, just look it up, Camp Discovery, Shanghai Disneyland. But you can also look up the talk on YouTube about Camp Discovery and how it was designed, because they go in a lot of depth and talk a lot about how things actually work and how they were designed and how they came up with these ideas. Because it's super interesting, super unique. I'd love to see it on other parks someday, but it's very unlikely to happen just because of the safety of things and needing all the employees to actually make it safe. However, since this is a virtual theme park, we can kind of get away with it, can't we? So that's what we're going to be building. We're going to be building a partial ropes course, and the other part will be mostly just a walking trail. Now, what also inspired me are the trails at Animal Kingdom. Now, Animal Kingdom has, I think, 2 different trails that you can walk. One is mostly just walking around several exhibits where you can see animals, and there's super nice theming and stuff like that. And the other actually has you going through a jungle with bridges and stuff like that. I haven't done that one myself, only the first one. But the idea was kind of for the major ride inside of this area, to kind of combine these 2 ideas. So combine the climbing course or the ropes course action with a walking trail, basically. Just to make a very unique experience where you're going through nature, basically sightseeing and having a little bit of excitement along the way as well. But since this is a Japanese area, the only logical thing to name this is Samurai Trail, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Now, here I'm first finishing up the restaurant. Like I said, it's just a very small restaurant that's probably going to have some Asian cuisine. But behind this mountain, which is meant to represent Mount Fuji, will have the trail. So this mountain will basically act as a mountain from both sides. From one angle, it is mostly just a canyon, or a cliff face basically, and the other side is meant to look like Mount Fuji. So I think just like that we have a pretty nice prop there, just to kind of hide the view into the trail, just to really make it more adventurous, because I don't want people to be able to look too far ahead on the trail, just to make it make it feel like you're actually exploring a space rather than walking along a very set path instead. So this trail is gonna start at a small building where you are basically being set up with some of the basic gear. And then along the trail, somewhere along the trail, you will basically enter the ropes course where you're connected to the rail system that is going to safely guide you over the obstacles. And then afterwards, after the ropes course is done, you will be disconnected from the rail again, and that's where the normal trail basically continues. And at the end, there's a very small indoor section where you go through a cave with, maybe something exciting going on, some special effects and things like that. I think that would be pretty cool. Basically just a little walking dark ride area, if you will. So yeah, that's basically the idea for this ride. So yeah, right now I'm just building the station here, which is the building that I talked about a second ago. And from there we can start building all the obstacles and things like that. And I would really like to do this trail someday. I'm quite a fan of these walking trails inside of theme parks. So, normally they aren't that large, but if they are there, I like to try them because it's always very relaxing and very fun to do. And it just, takes you away from the busy areas for a bit, which is always pretty nice. So yeah, let's see what is next. Now, one thing that I want to do in the future as well, apart from the water park area, is I still want to make the nighttime spectacular show on the castle, which we'll be doing in Planet Coaster at some point. Now, I've been brainstorming about this a lot lately, because I'm very excited to get started on that at some point. But basically what that is going to mean is that not only we're going to be having to set up the entire show in Planet Coaster with the fireworks and maybe the water fountains as well, but we're actually going to professionally make a projection mapping show for the Magic Towers as well. And since we can't do projections in Planet Coaster, we basically have to do that with special effects essentially. And basically post-process that using some video editing on top of the castle. And if you know some of my other videos on this channel, you'll know that I have experimented with this before and it works pretty well. So we can make that work. But that also means that a lot of time for this Nighttime Spectacular will be spent on actually making the projection mapping show, which I will be doing in things like Blender, After Effects and Premiere. So I'm just curious if you guys would be interested in seeing that process as well, or if you guys would just be interested in seeing the end result. Because my plan right now is to, slowly start working on that and recording the process in the meantime as well. But not actually release episodes of that yet until the entire show is finished. At which point I'll just be doing like a live review of the show basically. And after that I can start posting the episodes of actually making that show and showing the process. Just because I think the show is probably a lot cooler if you don't actually know what is going to happen. So I think, first showing what it is actually going to be and what it is like, before actually showing the process as to how you can actually make something like that is going to be a lot more interesting. But definitely let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on that. So another thing that I would really like to know from you guys is whether or not or at least what you guys would like me to see do in the park. Because in the next episode, that's going to be the final episode in which we're going to be working on the theme park itself. So there we will be finishing up some of the backstage areas basically, and also doing some final touches. So if there are some things in the park that you would still like to see fixed, then definitely do let me know. And then I can, work on that in the very next episode, where we'll just be working all around the park basically, just to get that all done and out of the way for Brian, CP6, to actually get the park and have a look at it as well. Now, one other thing that was requested quite a bit was to do a tour of the park. Now, you will be able to see Brian's video for that when it comes out. Because he will basically be going around the entire park. But I do also plan to make a tour video myself where I just show around the park basically. Probably in a slightly more cinematic fashion. like I did in one of my other videos so far. That was actually from my 1,000 subscribers. Actually, I think that was like a special video that I did. It was pretty time consuming to make, but I think we can do something like that again for, you know, when the theme park itself is finished, just to kind of show everything that has been made. And well, I mean, there's still so much to do in the park. I still want to do a few more hotels, or at least probably one more hotel. And I also want to do like little vacation houses right along the river that we have inside of this map as well, because I think that would be really quite nice. And there is a resort like that, or at least a vacation park like that at Walt Disney World as well. Tim Tracker did a video on that just a little while ago, and I would really like to have something like that. It really inspired me, so I think that would be a really nice fit for the river. You know, probably going to be very expensive places to stay at, but that's definitely going to be super interesting and cool to build, I think. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right, so in the meantime, I'm just, you know, preparing the park to actually be seen as well. I didn't really set any music for the ride yet, so I just went around the park and set right music on every single ride, just to make sure that the entire atmosphere of the park is right when you are opening it up. Because when I play myself, I usually have the ride music turned off, just because I might be playing some of my own music in the background. So you know, I don't really bother with setting the music, but I always quite enjoy like picking the right song for your ride, just to make it sound, you know, make it fit properly, you know, something like that. Now here I'm just connecting the backstage road. There are a few places I think where we still need to connect up the backstage road, but after that we'll basically have a backstage road that leads all around the park, which is pretty exciting, because obviously that is something that we have been focusing on throughout the entire time basically, and we'll continue to do that as well in the future. So yeah, it's very important that we you know, finish that up like we have been working on it so far. There are some other things that I really want to do still. The hills there at the side of the attraction could really use some support on the outside, I suppose. We'll look into that soon. Probably something for the next episode. So yeah, I'll probably have to start making a list actually, because there are always going to be things that I forget that I still wanted to do. But for now I'm already spending a little bit of time on that, just to finish up this area. And I think it turned out pretty nice. It's pretty unique. I really quite liked how that ended up being. Yeah, and I'm very happy, you know, that we basically finished the theme park now. Anyways, that's about it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching again. If you want to see some more content, or would like to read some more content, I should say, definitely check out my Patreon. If you want something from Magic Towers, as if it is a real theme park, you can check out my merchandise. I have links for those in the description down below. And what you'll also find there is a link to my Discord channel, where you can chat with me and other people who like theme parks. Anyways, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.